Hello, friends, and welcome. I'm Jason Waddell, owner of Phrygian Frog music publishers and record labels. I'm happy to announce today that we do have a new record label, Resonant Impact, and we have partnered with a very talented composer, producer, mixer, and musician, Dylan A. Smith. I'd say that A stands for awesome. Our goal is to make production music that can be used by content creators, TV, film, and others that just want to have music in their next project. Our new record label, Resonant Impact, is very happy to announce we have one album out by Dylan A. Smith, Epic Medley, and we have 5 more albums in production right now. Phrygian Frog Publishers and Record Labels is a one-stop company. What that means is you can come directly to us. You can email me, jason@phrygianfrog.com, Phrygian frog.com. Or head on over to our website, phrygianfrog.com, fill out one of our forms so we can help make your next project have the resonant impact that it deserves. And without further ado, here is the Zoom interview I did with Dylan A. Smith about his new Epic Medley album. In this interview, we talk about his music making process, including his approaches to composing and orchestration, his mindset for composing, musical form, approaches to the mixing process, and music production in general. I hope you enjoy. Hey friends, we here at Phrygian Frog have begun a new record label and partnered with talented composer, producer, and musician Dylan A. Smith. All of this music Dylan has produced, composed, has very many credits here. And I thought I'd let Dylan kind of talk a little bit about our first project, Epic Medley, and what it's all about and the inspiration behind it a little bit and what you can expect to hear in the tracks. So Dylan, tell us.
Sure. Well, when we first talked, the idea was just to start an endeavor to do trailer music, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for this first album, it's called Epic Medley because that's exactly what it is in terms of style and approach, and what type of trailers it would be. Each piece would be appropriate for it varies. So it's not just all hero music or all thriller music. It's a mix of a bunch of different things. So that's where the overall approach for the album is coming from. That's why it's called Epic Medley. I didn't have an exact direction at the point of writing this one, So it's a bunch of different things, but primarily when I was writing this, I was steering toward, let's say, general action sci-fi for some of it, and then for others, it's what I like to call intellect and intrigue trailers, which would be, I don't know how to even approach that. Maybe like a murderous Sherlock dark type, like if Zack Snyder did Sherlock,
Cool.
Something like that. So things that for you like Secret Society, right? With this piece of Secret Society. So that would be one that fits in that category. If anyone wants to go listen to that, it makes use of a lot of acoustic strings and polyphony, and has almost like I'd say classical with quotes, because I don't know if it really fits in classical, but it's a classical approach, but with a modern edge to it. So it still feels like a powerful, modern, impactful trailer piece, but it has that sort of cheeky, sort of, London-made drama,
Cool,
aesthetic to it. So anyway, there's lots of different things in this particular album that it's a lot of fun to do.
and it takes the word epic and puts it into different categories because, like you said,
Right.
they're all not just one category. There is a lot of blending of different genres and styles of music here that
Right.
there's something for everyone. And I think it would fit so many projects out there too, in terms of, is it going to be comedy, mystery? Is it going to be something strong? But then there's some lighter tones here and there in some of the pieces. So there's a lot, I think, here to choose from. And just from a listener's perspective, I think, it could take you down a path where the listener can even create scenes in their mind of what the music is portraying. Perhaps this could inspire somebody that's doing a film or something, or a video game or whatever, in terms of the ebb and flow of the action it taking place, and how the music can underscore that. And as a soundtrack itself, I mean, it just flows well from one track to the next. But I think as individual pieces too, they have a lot to offer. So, in terms of your process, when you sit down to work on one of these, what is your creative process? How do you start, or how long does it take? Do you map anything out, or you jump into a DAW and go? What do you do?
Those are great questions, and most of the time I have to draw from a visual. So
okay.
I get this from Tom Newman. He calls it the incubation process.
Ooh.
He'll have a general idea of what kind of style he wants to go for, and then he'll sort of amass different elements from different pieces of art, whether it be music or visual, or whatever, and let that, sort of like create that world in your mind and create the sound of that world in your mind before you ever even touch a DAW. So that's what I like to do. I don't spend a lot of time doing that because I just don't. I like to get to it, but I have to know which direction I'm going when I do it. So, I'll go online. I'll look up a bunch of different art. I'll go to ArtStation and try to piece together, a collection of visuals that I'm basically writing a soundtrack for. So that's step one. Step two is to have a template, so I'm not aimlessly trying to find the sound of the music. So if I know I'm going to be doing, three pieces in this sort of edgy classical style I was mentioning before, I'll just build the whole template for that ahead of time. I'll spend a few hours maybe pinpointing the right sounds and the right effects and all the different things that go into trailer music. And I'll just have it there. So I don't really need to pull a lot of sounds in as I'm working. I just have the ensemble already there. And from there, honestly, I just write inspirationally. By that point, I've immersed myself and focused myself into the style that I want to do.
Right.
That I'll just hit the gas, and oftentimes I don't really have I don't really know where it's going, but I know how to write music, so I just allow it to write itself almost as I go, and I attribute that to training. I trained with you for a long time, and learning music theory, and these are all tools. Using a DAW, knowledge of orchestration, music theory, all of that. Those are all tools or like recipes in the cabinet, ingredients in the cabinet that you can pull from.
Gotcha.
Excuse me. Sorry, my phone went out of the way. There we go. And if you're a good chef, then you can just throw the ingredients in it as you go, and you can make a cool dish. You don't have to stop and taste everything as you go. So yeah, as I was writing some music for one of our upcoming albums yesterday, I think I did 3 or 4 tracks in a day. And most of them, I knew what style. It was the horror album that we have coming up.
Right.
So I knew I was in that realm. I usually try to come up with a pace in my head. So I established the time signature and tempo.
Right.
And then I just let the drama unfold,
Right.
Pretty much. And I let it build. And I try to stay in tune emotionally so that I know what the listener is experiencing with the emotional arc of the piece. Because that's an easy thing to get lost in if you spend too much time sequencing.
Right.
You can either sort of trail off into, if you spend too much time listening and you sort of get numb to what you're doing,
right,
all of a sudden your piece can develop into something that you didn't really intend or is not congruent with what you started with. in a sense, you can kind of get bored with the style you started with, and then it turns into something else. So,
right.
Yeah, with trailer music, production music, you want to keep it contained to one
right.
aesthetic per cue.
Yeah. Amen to that. And,
Yeah.
and to maybe switch gears a little bit, because you mixed most of these songs as well
Yeah.
for this, and we did the master, and I did the mastering here at Phrygian Frog Studios. When it comes to mixing, do you mix after you've done the production itself? Do you come back, or do you mix kind of as you go along? What is your process there?
Mhm. I mix as I go.
Okay.
Definitely. And I'll probably do one or two passes after the piece is done and just focusing on the mix.
Right.
But I'll definitely mix as I go, because that helps to, how do I say, it helps make decisions about what you're writing and how you're writing.
Right.
If let's say the piece needs to be brighter, just have a brighter mix.
Right.
And I feel like, okay, I need to get a different string patch, or I need to add in more bright samples. That may not be the answer. The answer might just be sort of cutting out the low end of what's already there,
right.
and then it brightens up the mix. So that's sort of a very basic way of explaining that. So it's good. I think it's great to mix as you go and mold the piece as a whole as you go, shape the piece, instead of focusing just on writing and then mixing. Because then you can kind of get ahead. You can get ahead of what you might hit in the mixing phase during the writing phase, and helps things go smoother, I think. Yeah.
And often in production music, I've had many past students ask me this. There's a bit of a form or a format to it, and in terms of having a lot of tension and release, or some people even call it acts, having Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and tie a little bit of breathing space. Is that in your mind as you're composing and mixing and so on?
Definitely, yeah. With trailer music especially.
Yeah.
Because that's the that's the formula that has stood the test of time. So there is sort of a factory element to writing trailer music.
Right.
And then you're confined to somewhat of a very specific structure, or at least a handful of very specific structures that you can't really deviate from. I mean, there are some exceptions, but typically, there's one thing that works. So yeah, you have a Act 1, 2, 3,
right,
and you start with some suspense. Something. Something's coming, and then you pause for a Hollywood one-liner, and then you have Act 2 where the tension starts to build and things are happening, and then you pause again for a one-liner, and then you smack into the climax where everything goes berserk.
Right.
And then maybe another one-liner, and then you hit it with a stinger where everything just explodes, and you're out. So, and that helps. I was talking about writing 4 pieces in a day.
Right.
That helps when you're doing trailer music, because you don't really have to think about the structure so much. You already know what structure you.
Right.
So that's your canvas. You just have to, at that point, make decisions about what colors you're putting on the canvas.
And in many ways, we've talked about versatility before, and how versatile you have to be as a musician, as a composer, as a mixing engineer. But also when it comes to style and knowing instruments, I know Dylan and I know each other for quite a long time now, and we know each other not just as how long has it been?
It's been 10 years now.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We've always talked about doing this, and now we're doing it. So we're excited about that. And, I also write. I do a lot more mixing and mastering these days, and running publishers and labels. But I am inspired by Dylan and other artists to get stuff out there. And we know each other as musicians as well, well as we can speak to each other as engineers. We could speak to each other, as artists, as, hey, these strings are doing this when they really should be doing this, or whatever. So it's nice to be able to communicate on all levels. And talk about, hey, that's a melody, that's a counter melody, and you've talked about knowing your music theory. And I know that a lot of people wanting to get into this are always looking for the education behind it. And it part of it is study, and study and getting it to where it becomes, in a way, second nature. You don't have to think about it as much. And you then take inspiration and take an idea and you develop that idea over time and not try to throw multiple ideas in there, but just like you said, stay in your lane, stay within a certain aesthetic and keep that aesthetic going while also staying true to the styles that are out there in production music and trailer type music as well. So, man, I think we've got a lot of exciting things coming. I have heard some awesome stuff from Dylan. Both the Phrygian Frog Records and Resonant Impact are going to have lots of production music coming up as well. And we also have music, any of our music can be licensed to be used. So we're happy to, and we are one stop, meaning you come straight to me, and we are happy to work with you on licenses and make your project awesome. The one thing we've talked about is custom music as well, because oftentimes projects will need very specific timings of music and custom music. And I know that you've done a lot of that in the past, and I have too. I used to be in the jingle industry. So that's something too that we want to throw out there and offer in terms of, if you like what you hear and you want something kind of like that, let us know. We're happy to work with you on that as well. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I hope everyone, sticks with us and listens to the album, because there's going to be lots and lots more albums coming in many different styles. And it's going to be great.
And feel free to comment and let us know what you think. And we hope you love it and hope you come back for more too. So thank you. I am happy to announce that this is the premiere album for Resonant Impact and Resonant Impact Records. So we are hoping in the future to have a full service music library ready to go with multiple albums, and look forward to hearing from all of you. And thank you, Dylan, for being here and talking to us today.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good one.
All right.